What's going on, everybody? Ryan's Baseball Roundup here, back at it with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over my All-Star Game selections for the 2021 All-Star Game. And we're going to be doing it for both leagues, National League and American League. I'm going to walk you through who I think should get in the All-Star Game for each position. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button if you enjoy these type of videos. And let's get straight into the video. Okay, so as you can see, we have our All-Star Game ballot. We got every position except for starting pitcher, which the players and coaches vote on. Number one that really jumps off the page for first base is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's having an insane year. I think he would probably win MVP if the season ended today. You look at his 1,098 OPS with those 18 home runs. I think he's gonna run away with he should run away with the All-Star Game selection at first base, and he's who I would vote for at first base. Some other guys that are having good years got Matt Olson. Trey Mancini is carrying that Orioles offense coming off of colon cancer. I'm pretty surprised that Jose Abreu isn't having another killer season because he won the MVP for the American League in 2020. Moving on to first base in the National League, I gotta go with Max Muncy. This dude's been killing it for the Dodgers. I think he leads the major leagues in on base percentage. He gets on base a lot. There's a lot of guys at first base that have been having subpar years. Look at Anthony Rizzo, Paul Goldschmidt. Those type of guys are usually having really good years. So I was surprised that Max Muncy would just run away with it. But it seems like that's the way it's going this year. So if we're looking at second base now, we're going to start off in the American League. Second base, there's some good guys, but I'd say Marcus Semien is going to take it for the American League. I mean, he won Player of the Month for May, I believe it was. So he's really been doing good with the Blue Jays. He's getting accustomed to that offense, and they have a scary offense with him playing really well. The only other guy that really can compete with him is Jose Altuve. But with the May Marcus Semien had, I got Marcus Semien for second base. Now moving on to the National League. It's kind of tough in the National League. There's not too many great guys there. I would say I would have picked Jazz Chisholm if he didn't get injured. But since he got injured twice, I believe it was, for me it's between Ryan McMahon and probably Ozzie Albies. But I gotta go with Ryan McMahon. He's been hitting for a lot more power this year. You look at those 13 home runs. I mean, plus it just makes sense. They're playing the All-Star Game in Colorado. That would just make sense for him to be the starting second baseman, considering he plays for Colorado. Now moving on to third base. Alex Bregman's having a solid year. Matt Chapman's having a down year there. Rafael Devers is having an insane year at third as well. So I'm going to go with Rafael Devers. I believe he leads MLB in RBIs, and he's really helping out that Boston Red Sox offense, which they've been having a great offense all year, and he's a big reason why. Look at that 274 average, 909 OPS. He's really having a better year than he did in 2020, so I'm going to go with Rafael Devers. National League, I feel like this one's a no-brainer. Chris Bryant. Last year, he was injured for some of the season, and then he was also, when he was playing, I'm not sure if it was that he wasn't healthy or what, but he just wasn't playing up to the caliber we know he can be at. Because this is a dude who back in 2016 or 15, I believe it was, he won the MVP, and he's back at that MVP caliber level. 308 batting average, 13 home runs, 967 OPS. This is a dude who's now confident back in the batter's box. He has his confidence back, and he's looking scary. He's a big reason why the Cubs this year have been doing better than a lot of people thought they would. Now, moving on to shortstop. There's a lot of talent in shortstop in the American League. You look at Tim Anderson, Bo Bichette, Xander Bogaerts. But I would have to go with Xander Bogaerts. He's another one of those guys that's been doing super good for the Red Sox. Big reason why they're in the playoff position right now. I think they're in second place, just behind the Rays a little bit. Xander Bogaerts, he doesn't play much defense, but you look at his offense, and he's probably the best hitting shortstop in the major leagues when it just comes to pure offense. 321 batting average, 10 home runs, 913 OPS, just really good numbers for the Red Sox shortstop. Moving on to the National League, I think this one's kind of a no-brainer also. I mean, Tatis is the one that jumps off the page. This dude has 17 home runs, and he's missed a lot of the season. He has the potential this year to hit 40 home runs and steal like 30 bases while also being injured. And that's just crazy to me. Now catcher in the American League. Yasmani Grandal is having a really weird year. He's batting 153, but he still has a solid OPS just because he's been walking a lot and also still hitting for power. But for when it comes to the catcher position, I'm gonna have to pay respect to a really good shortstop for the past decade, Salvador Perez. He's having another good year after having a solid year in 2020. So I'm gonna have to go with him. And then for the National League, it's really between Carson Kelly and Buster Posey. But I mean, Yadier Molina is having a lot better of a season than people expected. But I gotta go with Buster Posey. I'm a Giants fan, and this dude's only been playing like 2 out of every 3 games. So he's been missing like 1 game every series just to get rest because he's like obviously an older player now. I believe he's like 34, but he's been only playing 2 out of every 3 games, and he still has 10 home runs, which I think leads all catchers in the National League at least. Because you look, Mike Zunino has 12 homers for the Rays. I didn't pick him because his OPS is like just all right, and that batting average isn't too enticing. Outfield, there's a lot of options in the American League, but the one guy that I immediately thought of was Aaron Judge. This dude's had a lot of injuries over the past couple seasons. He's missed a lot of games, but this year he's really putting it, going back to his form from a couple years ago, where he hit like what was it, like 50 home runs as a rookie. Yeah, look at the 295 batting average, 938 OPS. Really good season so far from Aaron Judge. I'm going to have him as my first outfielder. And then for my second outfielder, I'm going to have to go with, I mean, Mike Trout. He's had a really good year, but he's also injured. As you can see, there's a lot of options just because you can really pick any person because there's 3 different outfield spots. So you can't really go too wrong here, but I'm going to have to go with Mitch Haniger because this guy, he's like missed like I think a year and a half or two seasons, and you look at those home runs, 14 home runs, 38 RBIs. He's a big reason why the Mariners are still relevant because I think they're a couple games above 500. And for the last outfielder, I'm going to take Adolis Garcia. This is a guy who came out of nowhere. He got DFA'd a couple months ago, and then the Rangers moved him to their alternate site. And ever since he's got called up, he said, I'm not going back to the alternate site, and he's been putting up crazy numbers. 277 batting average, 16 home runs, 42 RBIs. That's really good like numbers from a guy that any team could have picked up like at all. And so I'm going to go with Adolis Garcia. The other guy that I was considering going with, but I didn't, was Teoscar Hernandez, or you could go with Cedric Mullins. Those are just my selections for the National League. I mean American League. Moving on to the National League, we got a lot of good hitters. I'm gonna go with Ronald Acuna Jr. for my first outfield spot. He's been having an MVP type season, and then for the Braves, I'm gonna go with him, and then Nicholas Castellanos. He's been really carrying that offense along with Jesse Winker. He's finally putting it together. Last year, he had a bad year with the Reds for his first year, but we've always known that he can hit well. He hit well back in Detroit when he was with the Tigers. For my last outfield spot, I'm going to go with another Reds player who goes by the name of Jesse Winker. I'm just looking for him. Jesse Winker, he's had an insane year also, and I really like the season he's had. He's batting 350, 17 home runs, 37 RBIs, 1,077 OPS. I think he's had 2 3-run home run games this year. So some people are like saying he's like Barry Bonds. I wouldn't go that far, but he's having probably the best year out of any outfielder this year. And then the last one is going to be designated hitter. There's a lot of good options here, but for me, it's like probably between JD Martinez, Yordan Alvarez, and Nelson Cruz. I mean, you look at Yerman Mercedes, a guy that went undrafted, he's also good. And then you got Shohei Ohtani, so there's really a lot of options. I feel like a lot of people are probably going to go with Shohei Ohtani because he's pitching and he's hitting, but I would probably give him the all-star spot as a pitcher. So I'm going to give JD Martinez the respect he deserves. He's had a really good year after having a bad 2020. Look at that 321 batting average, 12 home runs, 39 RBIs. So I'm going to go with him as the DH. And then obviously there's no DH in the National League. So these are all my selections for my All-Star game. I hope you guys enjoyed. Alright, so those were my All-Star Game selections. This is just purely my opinion. So if you disagree with me, you can put down who you think should have been in those All-Star Game in the comments below. Other than that, this has been Ryan's Baseball Roundup,